What are we seeing on the XAUUSD? Now, on the XAUUSD, we have quite an interesting situation going on right now on this commodity. And if you remember vividly, during our live session yesterday, we were looking at the potentials that buyers might likely come in at any point in time in this market. So for that sake, let me show you what we saw on the 4 hours time frame that helped us to project a potential bullish move for this week. Though we saw the situation on the 4 hours time frame where things were looking a whole lot of bearish at this point, and to emphasize the strength of the sellers here, we had a couple of trend lines after connecting the series of lower highs. But I made mention here that I'm going to be using this trend line, the thick one here, as a yardstick to guide our trading activity for this week. And one thing we did after spotting this bearish trend line was to zoom into this current structure to look at what has really been going on in this market in the last couple of weeks. And when we zoom in, we saw how price action had been caught within a choppy situation. We had one where price action initially was ranging between the $1,980 level and the $1,960 area to emphasize the level of indecision at that point. Now, with this situation we had here, we were expecting that the breakdown that happened last week here, right here, the breakdown of that support line was a clear sign that sellers are still very strong in this market. But one thing that caught our attention during the live session yesterday was the fact that as soon as price action got into that area around the $1,940 level, we begin to see some buy pressure resume from that area, hereby negating all attempt by the sellers to continue that trend to the downside. And because of the appearance of this demand zone yesterday, we decided that we are going to be looking out for buying opportunity. And not only if price action breaks down that structure, we will be thinking of selling at that point. But as long as price action remains above the 1,940, we agree that we are going to be buying at this point. And to further buttress the potential of a reversal pattern here, we visually represented this after considering the impulsive move into the structure. As you can see, we saw price action come into that area, the 1,952. Price was unable to break the previous low, giving us a situation that is looking more bullish at this point. And with the situation we had here, we had the buy stop order placed at the 1,952, somewhere around here, with our stop loss sitting somewhere within this demand zone at this point. And what happened here yesterday was quite interesting. We saw a bullish momentum which did not reflect on most of the charts that is in the market. This was behind the scenes. This was happened outside the market. I think the major key players in the market did this, and during the early hours of today we saw price action drop back into the downside. And at this point we had another situation where price happened to have broken out of the 1,952 one more time to incite another wave of bullish momentum. So at this point in time, we scaled down into the 1 hour time frame to identify a simple setup that we were supposed to be using to guide trading activity for the week. And one thing we observed here yesterday is the choppy situation, the consolidation between the 1,947 and the 1,940. And I told us yesterday that if we are going to be buying the XAUUSD, we want to see price action break out of the 1,947 to have a buy position triggered. And if we are going to be selling, a breakdown of the 1,940 should give us an opportunity to do that. Though we had the breakdown here, and I do hope you moved your stop losses after price action moved about 80 pips in our favor before we were taken out of that position. And since this morning now, we have seen a breakout of the 1,947, which is one of our key levels to buy the XAUUSD. And we also have a breakout of the 1,952, which was another level to add more position to our existing trade. And we also have another key level here at the 1960, where I said more buy opportunity above that structure will become valid, as if price breaks out of the 1960, we shall be back within the buyer's territory, an area which has a strong memory for buying power. So for those who are taking advantage of these opportunities at the breakout of the 1947 and the 1952, well done to you for being on standby, as the first position here will currently be running with 92 pips in profit, and the second position here will be running with about 37 pips in profit. So well done to you for being on standby to have caught this move, and you know how we do it. The next thing we want to be doing right now is to move all stop losses to secure this current position. And from the look of things, the last structure we have here is that area around the 1952. So this area here seems most reasonable to secure all buy position in this market, while we look out for more opportunities to add more position at the breakout of the 1960. Now, for those who had missed out on this opportunity, well, you want to remain patient here. We want to see new structures evolve before we want to be adding more position or joining outrightly. And one of the situations we are going to be looking out for around this area is a retest of structure. So if it happens that price action retest any of the structures during the New York session today, it could be the 1952. The most important thing we want to be seeing is buy pressure, and if this happens on our lower time frame, then we could be in to join another wave of bullish momentum with a buy stop order above the 1960 to add more position to our existing trade. And if it so happens that price action drops below the 1952, we have a bust stop at the 1947, where we shall be looking out for buy pressure to be part of the trend continuation to the upside. So these are the things we are going to be looking at as regards taking advantage of more buying opportunities in this market. The other scenario that we might want to be looking at is the expectations that sellers might likely come in from the structure. And if I am going to be selling, I think I need to readjust the trend line here. Okay. So if we are going to be selling from the structure, I would want to see price action drop below the 1940 sincerely because of this demand zone that we have here. So I would want to see price action drop below the structure before I want to consider selling the XAUUSD today. And I doubt if that is going to be happening, as I'm of the opinion that a bullish momentum will continue to the upside. But if it happens that price action drops below the 1940, then we want to see have a sell stop order here below the 1940. The reason why I said we are going to be having a sell stop order is simply because we already had a breakdown of the structure earlier today. So we should have a sell stop order below that structure to be part of that move, but I doubt if it will happen today, actually, considering the bullish momentum we have been witnessing so far. But if it happens, we want to be on standby to catch that move. And you might also want to maximize the bearish expectation in this market. That is, you want to sell even before the breakdown of the 1940 happens. And if we are going to be selling before the breakdown of the 1940, then we want to look at something like this: price action dropping below the 1947, continuous selling pressure below the structure to be part of the bearish move to the downside, and then have your sell stop order triggered when price action breaks down the 1940. So that is how we are going to be looking at the XAUUSD today. So mark these key structures out on your chart, screenshot my screen if you want to, so that you can use it as a reference point when you're about to make your individual decision on this commodity.